If you are between 65 and 80 years old and can still live alone, then you don't just age, you surpass many other people your age. In fact, your chances of reaching 90 or even 100 years old are greater than you imagine. Longevity doesn't come only from genetics or luck, but also from 5 things I'm going to reveal in this video. Things you do every day without realizing how important they really are. Many people believe that aging means losing balance, strength, and mobility. But that's not the whole truth. Some people still think clearly after the age of 70, move safely, and keep their freedom because they have preserved simple abilities that others lost long ago. These abilities are so powerful that they show how long and how well you can live. That's why in this video, I'm showing you 5 signs that only older people develop. Those who enjoy living alone. And in a very special way that leads to good aging. Some of them might surprise you, but each one tells an important story about your body, your mind, and your overall health. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why the last point on the list is ignored by most people, even though it can make a huge difference for your longevity and quality of life. If this topic speaks to you, write the word wisdom in the comments below. And if you've already left a like, congratulations. I now know that you're ready to grow with wisdom every day. Let's get started. Signal 1. Preserving physical autonomy. There is something that many older people only notice when they lose it, and those who live alone feel it sooner than anyone else. Physical autonomy doesn't mean being able to do everything perfectly. It's about continuing to master your own life, getting up without much effort, walking safely, keeping the house in order, and handling small daily tasks. Simple things, but they reveal so much about how well you're aging. After the age of 70, the body changes quite naturally. Strength decreases, balance requires more attention, and energy is no longer the same. But there is a silent mistake that accelerates this process: stopping moving. Many people start avoiding effort, drop small activities, and gradually give up what they could still maintain. Those who enjoy living alone think differently. They know that every movement counts. They know that taking care of the body is not vanity, it's a necessity. Because physical autonomy doesn't just guarantee mobility, it protects something much greater: your freedom. A simple example: Mrs. Maria, 74 years old, has been living alone for over 10 years. She doesn't do anything extraordinary, but every day she moves, tidies the house, walks to the bakery, consciously goes up and down the stairs, and keeps her body active in her own routine. That's exactly what has allowed her to stay independent and need no one. Because the loss of physical autonomy doesn't happen suddenly. It happens gradually. If you stop using what you still have, remember this truth: movement is life. As long as you move, your body responds. When you stop, it begins to shut down. And it doesn't have to be extreme. Small daily movements are enough to keep the body active, balance stable, and self-confidence intact. After the age of 70, physical autonomy is not about strength. It's about continuity. It's about not gradually giving up what keeps you free. Because in the end, it's not about being able to do everything, but about still being able to take care of yourself. Now I have to tell you something important. If you're here with me, then you value this message. Consider becoming a channel member and supporting our work, because wisdom is useless if it isn't shared with others. Now let's move on to the next point. Signal 2. Preserving mental clarity. There is something that many older people fear more than the loss of their physical strength: the clarity of the mind. Easily remembering things, thinking logically, making decisions confidently, expressing yourself with self-assurance. That's not just intelligence, that's independence. And those who live alone notice it faster than anyone else. Because when they rely only on their own mind to organize the day, solve problems, and make decisions, they naturally train what many others no longer use. But there is a silent mistake that affects the mind after the age of 70: stopping thinking actively. Many people switch to autopilot, stop learning anything new, avoid even small challenges, hand over decisions they could still make themselves, and over time the mind slows down more than necessary. Those who enjoy living alone take a different path. They keep the mind in motion. They read, watch something that stimulates thinking, solve small everyday tasks, and stay curious, because they've understood something crucial. The mind works like the body. What you don't use, you lose. Take the case of Mr. Joao, 76 years old. He lives alone and has a simple habit. Every day he writes down what he needs to do, organizes his tasks, and insists on handling everything himself. Nothing complicated, but that's exactly what keeps his mind active, organized, and present. And that has allowed him to live until today with clarity, autonomy, and self-confidence. Remember this truth. Mental clarity doesn't happen by chance. It is built through the small decisions of everyday life. Thinking, deciding, remembering, organizing, all of that strengthens your mind. After the age of 70, mental clarity is not about avoiding forgetfulness. It's about living consciously. Because those who keep their mind active retain control over their own life. If this signal has reached you, write clarity in the comments. And if you've already left a like, congratulations. You're helping this message reach other people who need it. Signal 3, financial independence. There is something that quietly and silently determines the level of freedom of an older person, and those who live alone feel it especially clearly: how they handle their money. Financial independence doesn't mean wealth. It means not depending on others for your life, paying bills, deciding on expenses yourself, and having control over what comes in and goes out. Simple things, but they protect something much greater: your dignity. After the age of 70, many people let this area slide. They stop tracking their expenses, hand over financial decisions, avoid looking at the numbers so they don't have to worry, and gradually give up something essential: control over their own life. Those who enjoy living alone think differently. They know that money is not just a means, it's autonomy. Because when you lose financial control, you gradually lose the power to decide for yourself. Take the case of Mr. Carlos, 72 years old. He was never rich, but he was always organized. He notes everything he spends, avoids unnecessary debt, and wants to know exactly how his situation looks. Nothing fancy, but that's exactly what has allowed him to continue living alone and in peace, without depending on anyone. Remember this truth: dependence doesn't begin when money runs out. It begins when you stop keeping track, because those who don't know what they have also don't know what they can do. After the age of 70, financial independence is not a luxury. It is protection. Protection of your freedom, your decisions, and your inner peace. Because in the end, it's not about having a lot, but about never giving up mastery over your own life. If this topic has touched you, write control in the comments. Take the moment and share this message with a friend or family member who should also hear it. Now on to the next point. Signal 4, sleeping well. There is something that many older people gradually lose and whose effects they only notice when they feel tired every day: restful sleep. Sleeping well doesn't just mean resting the body. It means reorganizing the mind, restoring energy, and bringing emotions back into balance. And those who live alone feel this especially intensely, because when sleep doesn't come, the night becomes long, the mind races, and the next day loses its lightness. After the age of 70, sleep changes. It becomes lighter, more sensitive to worries, and more dependent on routine. But there is a silent mistake that makes everything worse: living without a fixed rhythm, going to bed at different times every day, sitting in front of the TV for too long, taking worries to bed, and not preparing the body for rest. Those who enjoy living alone learn something crucial. Good sleep doesn't happen by chance. It is built throughout the entire day. Take the case of Mrs. Lucia, 71 years old. She lives alone and has developed a simple habit. Every day at the same time she begins to wind down, dims the lights, avoids stimuli, prepares the environment, and respects the moment of rest. Nothing complicated, but that's exactly what has given her peaceful nights and lighter days back. Remember this truth: those who don't sleep well don't live well. Because tiredness affects everything: mood, memory, energy, and even the way you look at your own life. After the age of 70, good sleep is not a luxury. It is the foundation for a clear mind, a vital body, and a balanced life. Because in the end, it's not about how much you accomplish during the day, but how well you recover to live the next day. If you have truly understood the importance of good sleep, write rest in the comments. Now we come to the last point on the list, Signal 5. Emotional autonomy. There is something that quietly and silently determines whether you live with inner peace or carry a burden with you every day: how you handle your emotions. After the age of 70, many people begin, without realizing it, to become emotionally dependent. They wait for a phone call, a visit, a message, and gradually the mood of the day depends on it. If someone comes, the day is good. If no one comes, something weighs on them inside. Those who live alone and age well learn something different. They learn not to depend on others, not because they don't love, but because they understand that their peace must not lie in the hands of others. Take the case of Mrs. Helena, 75 years old. She was always very close to her family, but over time she noticed that she was waiting too much, for attention, for presence, for something that didn't always come. This began to affect her mood, her energy, and her joy, until one day she understood something that changed everything. She had to take care of her own emotions. She began creating moments just for herself, valuing her own routine, and finding joy in her own company. That's exactly what gave her back the lightness she had lost. Remember this truth: those who are emotionally dependent suffer more, because every absence becomes pain, every silence becomes a question. But those who build their own inner stability live with more freedom. After the age of 70, emotional autonomy is not coldness, it is maturity. It is the ability to love without depending, to care without losing yourself. Because in the end, it's not about always being in company, but about being well even when you are alone. If this last signal has reached you, write peace in the comments. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. It shows that you are truly ready to live a better life. Throughout this video, you have recognized something that only a few people after the age of 70 have the courage to face. Aging well is a construction. And often it's not about big changes, but about preserving what you still have. Your physical autonomy, your mental clarity, your financial control, your restful sleep, and above all, your emotional stability. Most people don't notice when they start losing these things, because it doesn't happen all at once, but gradually through the small decisions they no longer make, the habits they give up, and the simple things they no longer pay attention to. And when you notice it, you've already lost control. But there is another path. The path of those who want to age consciously, who understand that living alone after 70 is not loneliness, but responsibility. Responsibility to take care of yourself, your mind, your body, your life. Because in the end, there is a simple truth. Independence doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means continuing to be the master of your own life. It means being able to choose, decide, and live at your own pace, with peace, dignity, and freedom. And this doesn't start tomorrow. It starts today in the way you live, how you take care of yourself, and in the decisions you can still make. Now tell me honestly, do you just want to age, or do you want to remain the master of your own story? If this video spoke to you, write wisdom in the comments. It shows me that you are ready to live this phase of life with more awareness. Leave a like. It helps this message reach other older people who need this reminder. And if you want to keep growing, I've left special material for you in the first comment under the video. Something simple that can completely change your next years. Thank you for being here. And remember, after the age of 70, every decision carries more weight.